And we're back for another episode. And we're talking to R.G. Ingersoll from Hot Tracks Production. And we were talking about a song that is trying to find its singer. Okay? And this is the total motivation about these songs. And one song, for instance, that we're talking about that you'll be hearing is called Thousand Shadows. One of several versions that RG has written and produced. So right now, tell me a little bit more about the song In Search of Its Singer.
Well, Kenny, we all got together and heard the tape that was done with her vocals, and then we knew we had the problem of finding her, but we're totally clueless about she just disappeared, right? So we once we found out, we figured the best way economically for us, we're not big budgeted to be in the detective agency, so we figured that putting a record out with her singing it would maybe surface through a car radio and she'd hear it, or somebody would hear her voice and tell her, we could reach her that way and find her that way. That's why our missing persons mystery, which is on our site at hottracksrecordsproductions.com, establishes that the song is searching for its lost singer. And we hope that it will reach her. We hope this next release that we're going to be letting go here next week is going to help find her too. We want her back, alive. And her family wants some kind of closure or some kind of cheer.
Better said, my friend. So the young lady, we really haven't said her name. And who is she?
Dianne Anderson.
Tell us a little bit about Dianne.
Dianne is out of the Toledo, Ohio area, from what I can recall. She was formerly touring with Edwin Starr. She happened to come into our circle. We instantly grabbed her, and she wanted to go with us, and before you knew it, we had some demos that were had created a shockwave at the Motown building. And from there it was like a story in itself, Kenny, as you know.
These demos that you produced with Dianne, as you're in the background, of you who are listening, you'll be hearing them underneath. They always, in the early, if you hear them now, you listen to them now, and you go, God, these are done something 20-something years ago. How many years ago?
At least 25, 30 years ago, 80s.
In 1980s, okay, early 80s. Dianne is singing these magnificent songs. Walks away from a contract. Walks away from Motown. Walks out the door. Never shows up to sign the contract. And has never been seen again. Ever. It's like she just disappeared. And these songs, which somehow through the internet, radios and overseas, it started like a little small brush fire, like somebody driving along in the country on a dried out old wheat field that's been cut down, and somebody tossed out a cigarette butt that's lit, and the field gets started real slow, and this slowness starts, and all of a sudden, over 17 years, it goes boom, and you got a major fire. Thousand Shadows. This song has been just milling around and hanging around, and all of a sudden, it's a valuable asset. And the kids like it. I mean, we're talking to 11 and 12 and 13-year-old kids, and they're excited about these songs. Dianne seems to always be living, no matter what.
Well, Kenny, as you know, there, as I mentioned earlier, the excitement that she created in the building, she was destined. You know, Motown's thinking was she was the next Diana Ross. That's how important she became. We all knew it too. Dianne knew it. You knew it. Everybody around Chuck, all of us knew it. You know, but we were a tight family. We all, I don't know how the bond there was responsible for the magic that we were creating. And Gwen Gordy knew it. She knew it. And that's why she financed it, the whole thing, because that was her thing. You know, she wanted that, the next biggest star Motown had. It was going to be hers.
You know, Gwendolyn Gordy Fuqua. Gwen Gordy. Miss Gordy. The boss lady, yes indeed. You know, when we got to Motown, we always laugh about this. This is like one of our signature laugh jokes between Lee Rogers, if you know what we're talking about. Lee Rogers Creighton, our infamous and famous partner. We love dearly and totally miss him and miss him dearly. But he left us a great legacy, and we really thank him so much for it. We're not all perfect. Thank God we're not perfect. That's why we write good songs. Because, boy, we write about heartache, don't we?
No. Hey, we're able, I guess, like any writers do, just, at a drop of a thought, we're on it, I mean, I run out of paper all the time, It's like, I remember that time, Kitty. I think you might have been there in the studio with we were in there with Norman Whitfield, and I think he was doing some overdubs on the Temptation stuff, and Clay McMurray had walked in, and Clay had done Road Midnight Train to Georgia, and I could kind of see him, that Whitfield wasn't all that happy to see him, and before I knew it, Whitfield said, "Yeah, hi, Clay. Hey, man, when are you going to pick up your pen?" Yeah, I will always remember that. Right.
I tell you, since we jumped into Whitfield, I have Mr. Whitfield to thank along with Don Ives, believe it or not, taught us how to read records. Because back in the day, people used to send demo records, and working with Whitfield, first thing he did, he had to go through the mail. All these songs, they come with tapes, cassettes, and records. They had we get tons of stuff. And he taught us how to read a record. That was funny, to read a groove on a record. I always talk about that. But he's one of those people that if you see inscribed in a record, if the waves of the intro are really wavy, not too wavy, but nicey and just curvy, it was a slow record. It was really fast. It was a fast record. And he said he'd throw the fast ones in one pile and the slow ones in the other. But what a teacher. I mean, Whitfield. Tell me about Whitfield.
Well, I think Whitfield was a major mentor and influence in our careers, Kenny. Anybody that was around Norman had to be, touched by him. I would think, I played basketball with him, and when I would play ball with him, he was so big, I didn't have a chance, and that made me mad because not only did he have all them hit records, but he was whipping my butt playing basketball now too.
At Motown, we found ourselves, one of the things we had to do in Gwendolyn's stay. Now, we have to talk about Gwendolyn Gordy real quick. We have to insert this. R.G. Ingersoll and I, we were signed to Motown, but we exclusively worked for the Gordy family. It was basically said when we walked into the studio of any of the artists, they basically used to laugh and say, "Oh, the Gestapo's here."
The henchmen. Here comes Gwen's pirates and thugs. Gangsters coming in. Clear the studio out. Yeah. That I can recall when they told us. Gwen called us in the office. Kenny, do you remember? We had just cut 4 or 5, tracks, and we had been. I think it was our first week cutting demos upstairs inside that little studio we had. Yeah, a little 8-track studio. We guy called into the office. Isn't that right, Kenny? Gwen called us in, and she flat out just said, "You guys are out of there. You ain't in there no more." And I thought, and so did you, Kenny. I thought you thought too. What'd we do? And the next minute, you turn around and say, "You're in 24-track now, and I don't want anybody to know what you're doing or where you're at in this corporation." And and then I asked her, I said, "Well, why is that?" And she said, "What'd you say, Kay? Yeah, disrupting the whole administrative floor." The tractors were going through, I guess, through the wall. So cool. I wasn't out there behind the typewriters and the computers. I just looked out and seen them dancing here and there. But it was only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So
then from there, what we got? Oh, we also lost our office up there on the 16th floor. They abandoned us. They abandoned us from the building and sent us to the mansion. And the mansion, boy, it was really rough, right? I mean, we're gonna talk about the mansion in Beverly Hills. Let's go. This is fun. You got to hear this. Start it from the beginning.
Oh boy, where do you go on this one? Okay, we had been segregated from the corporation, our sessions and stuff. Gwen never really gave us a real explanation why or what she had up her sleeve. Okay, but she made damn sure that, hey, our sessions, no matter where she sent us to whatever studio, were classified, top secret, period. As you know, Kenny. But we didn't know what that was all about. And then when we moved into the Motown mansion to do our stuff and take care of our business, and we were once again under very secure type orders and caution daily on watch out for the press.
You've been listening to SDC Radio Network's Music in Review, and this has been your host, Kenny Smith. This has been a production of SDC Radio Networks, a division of SDC Omni Media Group. This has been your host, Kenny Smith, and we thank you for listening.